going to be filming a transgender makeup tip tutorial with like every single tip and trick I know about feminizing your face if you're trans, or even if you're not, hiding any features that you want to hide, or enhancing features like your lips, making your contour as sickening as possible to help you live your best life, feel good about yourself. These tips have really like helped me feel more comfortable, not hating myself as much, just make you look cuter, you know. So I'm gonna try and not ramble too much in this intro because this is gonna be a super long video because I'm explaining like every step of the way in detail. I'm gonna try to leave timestamps in the comments for each step of your makeup, so like base, eyes, lips, whatever, just in case you don't want to watch the whole thing because it's gonna be really long. Also, if I've forgotten to explain anything or a detail or something like that in the video, leave a comment down below and I'll be replying to comments. Oh, so that's enough of an intro. Let's just jump straight into the video, and don't be too scared of my makeup face that's about to pop up on your screen. So I've already prepped and moisturised my skin. I think that's a super important step that some people might overlook because you want your skin to look smooth and feminine. If you have any texture, making sure you have a good base will help to cover that up as much as possible. Then the first step of actual makeup is primer. So I'm gonna use the professional primer from Benefit. So I just focus all that primer in the areas where either my pores are bigger or my texture is not what I want it to look like. So that is over my nose, on my cheeks, around my mouth. And I like to push it into my skin rather than rubbing it because I want it to fill up those pores. And if you rub it, it's just gonna like slide over them. And then I just take whatever's left on my finger and just run it over the rest of my face. And excuse the fact that my face is a completely different colour to my body because that's just how I like to personally look. I think a nice tan is just feminizing on me. That's not necessarily for everyone, but I just feel more comfortable with the tan on. Next, a super important step for me at least is colour correcting. I feel like a lot of trans girls get darkness in their like beard kind of area. Even if you don't have any hair there, I feel like it's just somewhere where you get darkness. So just to avoid that 5 o'clock shadow, I put colour corrector all around that area. I feel like 5 o'clock shadows are especially noticeable if you take any pictures, especially like flash pictures. So if you're like going out or you're doing something you know there's gonna be pictures taken, I would definitely recommend this. And again, with this I just pushed it in to not disrupt the primer I just put on. You can set your colour corrector with a powder to avoid it mixing in with your foundation, but I don't tend to have an issue with that, so I do not do that, but feel free to if that's something you have a problem with. Okay, so I look absolutely stupid now. I've just pushed my hair out of my face so I can do my foundation without getting it all in my hair. So I like to put a darker foundation around the edges of my face and a lighter foundation in the middle because that will help intensify the illusion that your face is smaller than it really is. So I just blend that in with my Morphe sponge. So I would say go 1 to 2 shades darker than your normal foundation. Obviously this looks super dark on me because I have fake tan on and I'm trying to match my face to my body, which it currently does not. I like to use the Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation and concealer in the colour 09 Tan. So you want to use a full coverage foundation to again smooth out your skin, cover any imperfections, make your skin look as smooth and as clear as possible. Then in the centre of my face, I think this is the Superstay foundation and this is the colour 48 Sun Beige. Obviously this colour is still darker than my skin, but it's lighter than the first foundation we put on and it matches my tan skin. Take extra care to blend it into the first foundation you put on. Since you did put on 2 different colours, you want to make sure they're blended nicely. Then I also take that lighter foundation down my neck a bit. Next I'm gonna highlight and conceal with a super light foundation. It's all about changing the dimensions and bringing aspects of your face forward and sinking in and pulling back other aspects of your face to make you have the typical female face. This one's the Tarte Shape Tape in the colour Fair. I think that might be the lightest colour that they do, and it is super light, but once you blend it all in, it's okay in the end. But I don't use that on my whole face because it is very full coverage and expensive and hard to get here in the UK. So I only use a little bit of that. I mean, I say a little bit, but I guess it's actually quite a lot. So yeah, under my eyes, on my moustache area and my chin, and these are the places where I get darkness, so I want to cancel that out as much as possible. Then I mix that in with another full coverage concealer. This one's the LA Girl Pro Conceal in the colour Natural. It's a bit darker than the Tarte one. Then I put some of that in all of the places we just put the other concealer, just to make sure it's not too bright. So the areas that I get the most darkness that I want to cancel out are on my upper lip, on the sides of my mouth, by my chin, so I want to cancel that out. And then under my eyes, the nose, the forehead and the centre of my chin are just places you want to highlight to bring forward. Then I blend that all in, trying to not move it around too much so that it stays in the same kind of area that you put it. Don't worry if there's some lines of where the concealer meets your foundation. We'll blend that in a second. So obviously contouring and highlighting and trying to change your features depends on what kind of features you do have and what kind of features you want to emulate. Typically girls have smaller everything on their face, so you're trying to make everything look smaller apart from your lips and your cheekbones and your eyes. So those we're going to try and enhance, but everything else you're trying to make look smaller. So I have quite a large forehead, so I like to just not take the light concealer too far outwards because that will make my forehead look bigger in the end. So I just keep it in the centre at the bottom. So then I blend out my under eyes, trying to keep the most brightness and coverage like right under my eyes. But then I do drag that concealer out and up to kind of lift up my eyes. And then, like I said, girls also have bigger cheeks usually, so I like to bring it out a bit on my cheeks to make those look bigger. Now that you're all highlighted, you do want to blend the edges of your highlight in. So I take the side of my beauty blender that has my foundation on it and blend the edges. However, I do leave these ones unblended. That's not necessarily feminizing, and it will make it more obvious that you're wearing makeup. I mean, obviously you're wearing makeup, but it will make it less natural looking. But it's just a trend in makeup right now. Like Kylie Jenner doesn't blend it out, or her makeup artist doesn't. So that's up to you. I like to leave it just because Kylie didn't. Next, cream contouring. I think contouring is, well, no, I'd say all these steps together will make for a final outcome that is very feminizing. But obviously you don't have to do everything. You can just pick and choose whichever aspects of your face you're insecure about or things you want to change or cover or hide. It is a lot of makeup in the end, and I don't do all of this every day. This is just every tip that I know and that I can do, and cream contouring is something that I don't do every day. But I do like to do it for like photos or nights out. I don't really care about wearing too much makeup. It's just time consuming, and I think if you're doing this every day, which I do wear makeup every day, I have to cut out whatever steps I can to make it achievable to do every day. And so one of those steps is cream contouring. Usually I'll just do powder contouring, but for a more intense feminizing effect, cream contouring will obviously help that. So I put it just in the corners of my forehead. Because this is such a dark colour, I don't like to use too much of it. So I just put it in the corners of my hairline that I want to bring inwards. Then some under my lip to make it look bigger. Now this is where your personal face and personal preferences will come into play. So my forehead is kind of big and kind of square. So I want to bring it in, make it smaller, and round it out as much as possible. Then I want to make my bottom lip look bigger. So I will contour under that. I don't mind the size of my chin, but I want it to be more defined. So I just put it on the sides to kind of give it more of a triangle pointed look. If you do want your chin to look smaller, you can just bring that the whole way around your chin. So for your cheeks, I'd say to keep the contour lower to make your cheeks look bigger, because girls tend to have bigger cheeks rather than super high cheekbones, although some girls do have high cheekbones, but I just like to make my cheeks look as big as possible. Then I do my nose last because I want the least amount of product left on this. Oh yeah, I'm using the LA Girl concealer still in the colour Beautiful Bronze. So then for my nose, I just bring it down the sides. I also have a bit of a crooked nose, so I like to paint the lines to straighten it, and then I want to bring the tip of my nose up as much as possible, so I'll bring the bottom of it quite high up. Also, I don't like bringing the cream contour up my jaw. I just find it really hard to blend out, and whenever I do it, it just looks muddy and messy and not cute, so I just do that later with powder contour. So next, just blend all this out, and I just use my Morphe sponge that I used earlier to blend in my foundation. I also like to use this Morphe brush, the M436, to blend out my cream contour. So I'm with my chin, obviously it depends on your chin, but like I said, I prefer for my chin to look more pointed and defined rather than just smaller in general. So when blending out my contour, I'll bring it back towards my jaw rather than into the center, because I want to keep the middle bit highlighted to keep it looking more pointed. But I do bring it a bit underneath and just blend it down a bit, just because with contour you want to make it look as blended as possible so that there's no harsh lines. Again, with all of these, you want to avoid blending them into anywhere that you don't want them, because you put them in a specific place for a reason. So just try and keep your blending where you placed it. So I like to bring my cheek contour, blend it kind of upwards to keep with that pulled back effect. But in the front, I don't want to bring it too high because I don't want it to mess with the cheek highlight that we did, because I still want my cheeks to look full. And I did want to mention, obviously I've had facial feminization surgery and fillers to help feminize my face as much as possible, but I do still use a lot of these makeup tricks as well as that. I like to blend out my nose contour last because you want to keep the lines as close to where you put them as possible, so the longer you leave the concealer to dry, the less it will move around. And then I just use this Morphe G1 brush to blend it in without moving it around too much. And then I also bring it up into my eyebrow. Now later we're also going to contour our cupid's bow and lips a bit, but I don't like to do that with cream contouring because we've highlighted this area so much and I don't want the cream contour to blend out and make it look darker. And obviously this goes for everything in this video. All these tricks are up to you and you don't have to do all of them, and you can adapt all of them to your specific features. But for me, I want my nose to look as small as possible, so I keep the lines really close to the center of my nose. You don't want to bring them too far outwards, otherwise it will make your nose look bigger. So now that you've done all your concealers and cream contouring, you want to set it down with a powder so that it doesn't move and it lasts all day where you put it. So I just like to blend out under my eyes in case any wrinkles have formed since you applied that concealer. Then I take my powder and just apply a generous amount on my whole face because I want it to all stay perfect all day. And I'm really oily as well, so you don't have to use as much powder as I do if you have drier skin. Again, anything I put under my eyes and on my cheeks, I bring out and up for that pulled out, lifted effect. So just set your entire face. This will get a bit messy, but YOLO! Oh, and I'm using the RCMA No Colour powder, but I've put it into this airspun box. Don't forget to set your neck. Okay, so now I'm going to take this off because it's hurting my head. So now I go in with even more coverage because I want to make sure that none of my undertones come out and my skin looks as flawless as possible. So I mix these two shades of the MAC Studio Fix foundation powder NC15 and NC43. I only do that because the NC43 is a bit too dark for what I want and a bit too orange. So I take a bit of both to make the colour that I want, but you could just buy the right colour and you won't have that problem. And that powder foundation is just for my chin area and my jaw. That is where I don't want any colour or undertones or darkness to come through. I need a Red Bull. That's better. What was I doing? So now powder contour. I like to use the Kat Von D Shading Light palette, and I like to start out with my nose contour. So on this Sigma E45, I pick up a little bit of the shade all the way. Oh, I don't even want to show you this palette, it's so gross, but I will. I use this shade, although there's almost none left. I use the one all the way on the right, all the way on the left. And I run that over where I put the cream contour, starting at the tip because that's where I want the most definition, and then I just run it up and down, keeping it close to the centre of my nose to not make it look any bigger. I also hold the brush right at the end because I don't want it to place too much product in one spot. So if you hold it at the end, then it distributes the product nicer, because if you're holding it right here, you're just going to be just putting too much pressure on one place. And I go over my nose contour like 100 times just to make sure it's exactly how I want it. And obviously just the same thing on the other side. Blend it up into my eyebrows because you want it to flow nicely. And if your lines just start here, then it won't look as natural. So it's going to look a bit darker than you want it to at first. But we're going to go over it with powders and stuff to blend it into the skin more. And then on the tip, now I'm quite generous with product on the tip because I really want to make my nose smaller at the tip and bring it up as much as possible. And bring it down the centre underneath your nose. You can kind of get away with putting more contour under your nose because there's so much shadow there naturally that it's not as obvious. Then I like to pick up on the same brush the darkest shade that's on the far right hand side, just a tiny bit, and then you take it from the front of your nostril and blend it upwards towards the tip of your nose, and it will just kind of elongate your nostrils and make your nose look more lifted again. But you don't want to do too much of this one because it is really dark. I used to use it for all over contouring and I thought it looked so cute, and then I saw the pictures and it was not. Then I take a little bit of all three of the colours because I just need to use them. But you can use whatever contour for this, it's not as important. And I just take that under my lip to make it bigger again. We're just pretty much going over all the places we contoured before to intensify them and bring them back after powdering. Because this one is hidden more than the rest, you can go a bit darker with it again. It's like under your nose. It depends. If you have quite flat to your face lips, then it will be more obvious. But because my lips come out of it, I can kind of allow myself to go a bit darker. So now I like to take that MAC Studio Fix foundation powder in NC15 on my beauty blender. And this is for under my eyes because I want to brighten them again, because the brightness will have been lost a bit with all the foundation, contouring, powders and everything. So I take that under my eyes. Then I also take it down the sides of my nose to intensify the contour. And then again, like I did with my highlighting earlier, I bring it out onto my cheeks to make them look fuller. And I bring it up and out to lift up my face. Excuse my upper lip that's disappeared, but it will be back in a minute. She's just busy right now. Now obviously this is super bright and looks a bit crazy now, but it will look alright in the end. Then again, that same powder, and I like to put this on my upper lip area to brighten it because I don't want any shadows there, because that's definitely where I get shadow's the worst in pictures, and I do not want to look like I have a moustache. Makeup, your girlfriend. Yeah, 'cause I'm bored. Yeah. So now that that's done, I go in again with the left side contouring powder, and I take the smallest amount, like tiny, and knock off as much as you can. And then I use that to define the cupid's bow. Again, because this is in the center of your face and over the brightest area of your face, you want to make sure it's not too harsh, otherwise it will be really obvious. And those will make your lips look more defined and fuller in a way. Oh my god, I'm exhausted. Yeah, 'cause I'm bored. Yeah. And so then, continuing with contouring, I take the first two shades in the palette, and this is for forehead contour. Again, just like the cream contour, I keep this in the corners to round out my forehead and bring my hairline down a bit. And because we've already cream contoured, I suggest having a light hand with your powder contour, because we've already laid that base. You don't want to do too much and then it will look too dark and muddy. But then obviously when I don't cream contour, I go in heavier with the powder contour. So now we're moving on to cheek contour. I picked up a bit of the two left shades of the Shade and Light palette. Again, don't apply too much because we've already cream contoured and we want it to look natural and feminine more than harsh and ugly. I take it up higher towards the back of my cheekbone, and that's where I like to keep most of the product, where you want the definition. And then once there's not much left on your brush, bring it forward and lower to give the illusion of bigger cheeks. So for my chin contour, I use the most left shade because it's the greyest toned and it's going to look the most like a shadow. The reason I don't use this shade for everything is because it's running out, because it's the shade I use the most. But I would just use that shade the whole time if I had enough of it. And again, I want to change the shape of my chin more than the size of it. So I'm not bringing it underneath to shorten my chin. I'm bringing it onto the sides to change the shape of my chin and make it more defined and pointed, because I have quite a round, blocky chin more than a small, feminine, pointed chin. And this earring's really annoying me. So yeah, if you have the same kind of chin as me and you want to do the same kind of effect, make sure you don't put any contour in the center of your chin and just keep it here on the sides. Then I blend it backwards into my jaw. I find my jaw is the hardest place to blend out contour without it looking muddy and like obvious and having a disconnect and a line. So I don't pick up any more product to contour my jaw. I just take whatever's left on it from contouring my chin and just bring it backwards. And then I also kind of round off my jaw to make it less prominent, although I don't personally have that much of an issue with my jaw. But if you do want to make your jaw smaller, more rounded, more feminine, I should have said this earlier, of course you can take your cream contour all the way to your jaw, just bring it up a bit higher than your jaw, and that will make your jaw look smaller. And then the same with the powder contour, just bring it up a little bit higher than where your actual jaw is, and that will make it look smaller. And then I blend it down a bit into my neck without picking up any more product because I don't want it to look too harsh. And guys, I understand the temptation to over contour, and I do it sometimes even still now, but the truth is that making something darker and darker isn't actually necessarily going to make it look smaller or whatever you're trying to do. It will just make it look like you're wearing more makeup and will probably actually draw more attention to that area. So I'd suggest trying to keep your contour a bit more on the natural side, even though obviously none of this looks natural. Then another tip that I have, if you have a visible Adam's apple that you want to try and hide, is to take your contour shade and have a look at your Adam's apple and where it sits on your neck. Sorry, I was just blocking it. So above it will be lighter and underneath will be darker, because obviously that's the shadows. So you want to take the contour that's going to emulate the shadow and put it where the highlight is on your Adam's apple. So that will kind of hide it as much as possible and hopefully make you feel a bit more comfortable with it. But Adam's apples are really hard to cover if you do have them. There's only not much you can do. This is the only real makeup trick there is to it. You could also take a lighter shade, like with the one I put under my eyes, and put it underneath it as kind of like an anti-contour to make it look smaller and make it hide. But I'm not going to do that because I don't really like the way it looks and I don't think it's that effective. But you can try it if you're really uncomfortable with your Adam's apple showing. So I think we're all done with the contouring at this point. I think. So what I'm going to do next is kind of bake and carve out some of the contours we've done. So I used the Maybelline Face Studio Setting Powder. I think this is the banana shade. So on my beauty blender I'm going to pick up some of that powder and lay it under my cheek contour. So when I do this I look straight forward into my mirror and I don't bake all the way to the back of where my cheekbone starts, because we want our face to be brought in and look smaller. If you bring your bake all the way out to the back of your face, it's gonna brighten this part, which will then make your jaw look wider again, even though we're trying to make it look smaller. I don't know if I'm explaining this right. So I just bring it pretty much from where you can see it if you're looking straight forward, and I bring it to my mouth. And this will give definition to your cheeks and make them look bigger without making your jaw look wider again. Ideally, to get those big round cheeks, you want it to be lower to make your cheeks look bigger. And I try to make it round to make my cheeks look round. Now I'm gonna intensify my nose contour again. So I'm just gonna blend out the foundation powder that we put up the sides of our nose earlier, and that will lighten the nose contour again. I'm just gonna contour it one more time because I really like my nose to look as small as possible with legit the smallest amount of product you can get on your brush. So I just dip it in once and then knock off as much as I can, and then go over the lines one more time with a really light hand. I look kind of naked. And if I haven't explained something well or you're confused about something, feel free to leave a comment and I'll reply to help you out with any questions you have. So now that we've done that nose contour again, I'm gonna bake the sides of it. I have more of an issue with the tip of my nose because it's more rounded and kind of large and not very defined. So I'm only gonna bake the tip of my nose. But anyway, we're gonna move on from contouring now because I legit feel like I've been contouring for hours. Oh my god, I always do this when I film. I forget steps of my makeup routine. So I forgot to bronze. So usually I would bronze after contouring and before baking, but we're gonna do it now. So I just use Hoola bronzer. You don't want to pick up too much bronzer because you will end up looking muddy and a bit too dark. So I just pick up a little bit on this big fluffy brush, tap off the excess, then I go over the areas where I contoured just to kind of blend it out and bronze myself up a bit. And on camera, I can't tell if it's just the display or if it's me, but I feel like it's looking darker than in real life, but it's not too dark at the moment. And I put it under my chin, under my jawline, blend it down the neck a bit because of all this highlighting, and I feel like with bronzer it helps to kind of blend your contours into your highlights. And obviously, like I said, usually I would do this before baking, but now I'm just trying to be careful to avoid the bake. And that's us all bronzed up. So now I'm just gonna wipe off this bake. So next is blush. After doing all of that intense makeup, it can end up looking like you are wearing a lot of makeup, which you are obviously, but I found that blush helps to kind of make it all look a bit more natural again and blend everything together a bit. So I like to put blush pretty much on all the areas that we contoured as well. And I go over my cheeks, kind of on the apples of my cheeks where my highlight and my contour meet. I've also found that blush is really feminizing and just gives you like a really pretty, like girly kind of cute look. So then I put some on the sides of my forehead, then over the contours on the sides of my chin. I don't like to put it on the center because I do want to keep that as bright as possible, and then underneath my nose on the tip just to make it cute and blushy, you know? Now I'm gonna highlight. The one that I found that's perfect for me is the Ofra highlighter in Rodeo Drive. So I pick up a little bit of that. Well, I say a little bit, but it's not a little bit. On my Morphe E36 brush. And I highlight my nose with that. So I like to keep the line super thin and defined to make sure that my nose doesn't get wider again and cancel out all that contouring we did. So I do a thin line down the very center of my nose, trying to keep it as symmetrical and straight as possible. And then a little line going the opposite way across my nose on the tip to give it that small lifted button pinched looking nose. Then I also put some down my cupid's bow. And I find that nose highlight is super important. You can kind of skip all the other highlight on your face if you're not into highlighting, but personally I found that nose highlight really accentuates the contour and really brings the whole thing together and makes it look smaller. Then that's pretty much the face complete, so I'm gonna set it with my setting spray. And I like to use quite a lot because I have just done so much makeup and used so much powder, but I don't want it to look powdery or like I'm wearing a lot of makeup. So I use a lot of setting spray. And sorry if the lighting's changed throughout this video. The sun has gone down because it's 5 o'clock and
that's how early the sun sets apparently.
Now the final part of my face makeup is cheek highlight, and I like to do that after setting my face because I found that it makes it more intense, it helps the product to stick to your face and you end up needing to use less of it. And I try to keep it quite precise on the part of my cheek that sticks out the most, so that that's the part that catches the light. And I bring it all the way back, and I like to put a little bit of that above the brow as well. Now if you have any texture on your cheeks or anything, feel free to skip the cheek highlight, or if you have any on your forehead, feel free to skip the forehead highlight because that will accentuate any texture that you have, which is why I also don't put it on my chin because that is somewhere that I do have more texture and I don't want to amplify that anymore. Okay, I need to finish this video and stop getting distracted on my phone. So the face is done. Actually, no, it's not. I take it back. I then like to, if I'm going the extra mile, take a very bronzy highlighter. This one is Gold Deposit, and I just put a little bit of that on my forehead to give me more of that glowy look and not look so matte and powdery. But I only tend to do that if I'm really wearing like a lot of makeup. I do not wear this much makeup every day, but I would if I had the time. Okay, now finally we're going to move on to eyes and then lips. And then we'll be done. Oh my god, what was that? Okay, Okay, so I've zoomed you in a bit closer again. Sorry if it's scary. So I'm going to start with the eyebrows. To feminize my eyebrows as much as possible, I'm going to try and make them look lifted and higher, give them more of an arch, and elongate them a bit, and then just also fill in any sparse areas like in the front. So I start off at the front of my eyebrows in the bottom, and I just define that line underneath. Then I jump to above, and my eyebrows are really uneven. One's way higher than the other one. So I try my best to make them match, but usually they don't. Trying not to make it too thick. As I get further back, I lift it quite a bit higher than where my real brow is to create an arch that I don't really have. And then I pull it back down, joining back to where my real eyebrow is, and then extending the tail. Then I go back underneath and then join that back up to where the tail of my new brow ends. So then I just fill in everything. I'm using the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in taupe because I'm too broke to buy a new Anastasia pencil. Then I brush them up, use a clear brow gel to set them in place. So I want to push them up to make them more lifted. And now I'm going to do the other brow off camera, and I'll be back to carve them out. Also, I think I forgot to mention, at the front I just take the pencil and feather it up very lightly so that it's not too full, and then I go with the spoolie and buff it out so that it's not too harsh at the front. So next I carve out the brows, and for this I use a full coverage MAC foundation just because I find it easier to just dip into it and there's no like squirting stuff everywhere onto your hands. Half my eyebrows fall out, I swear, every time I do them. Oh, I think I just got concealer in my hair. What the is happening? I don't think I mentioned what colour it is, but I think this is NC15. I can't really read it because it's so old. But I like to use quite a light colour to, again, lift up the brows. Then, once you've carved out your brows, I just take whatever's left on the brush and blend that concealer down onto the eyelid as a base for your eyeshadow. Then I just take the powder that's left on my beauty blender and put that over to set it. So for the eyes, I'm just gonna keep it a bit more natural and everyday. So just take any brown transition shade and put that through your crease. I like to blow mine out quite a bit and make sure it's super blended. I'm using the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, but you can obviously use any eyeshadows that you want to. And so for a feminizing kind of makeup, you want to kind of pull all of your eyeshadows up and out to like lift your eyes again, just like with everything else. So try and keep the shadows on the outer corner. So next I'm going to do a liner, and this is the part that will lift your eyes up. So I have a lot of like eyelid skin up here that sags over onto my eyes. So for my eyeliner, I need to pull it quite a way up and make it kind of thick so that it's visible. So for my eyeliner, I used to pull it straight out, and that wasn't as flattering as I think this new way I do it is. So now I lift it up more and I go towards the tip of my brow and then pull it back into my eye and fill it in, and then I connect it to the front, keeping the line quite thin because I do have such heavy eyelids. If it was too thick, it would really close my eyes. So I just want to keep it thin just to blend in with the lashes and define the eyelid. And I would extend this liner into my inner corner and bring it down a bit just to give my eye more of a lift, but my eyes are so watery that there's no point doing that because it'll go away as soon as I do it. So then I'm just going to take a little, I think this is called a definer brush. It's the Morphe M432. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of black eyeshadow and blend out the top line of my wing just to blend it out into a smoky wing. Now I'm going to apply mascara and my false lashes, and I'll be back. Once your eyelashes are on, just push them up on the outer corners and that will help lift your eyes up. Now I'm going to do the lower lash line. So I would say having darker eyes is more feminizing, but it also immediately makes you look like you're wearing so much makeup. So I do prefer to keep my eyes looking more natural, and in that way I do find that more feminizing. So again, that's a personal preference. If you want to like smoke out your eye, all of that, do that. But I think keeping it more simple, just like a wing and a crease, is ultimately more feminizing for me personally. So on the inner waterline, on the outer edge, I'm gonna put this eye pencil called Costa Riche by MAC, and I'm only putting this in the outer edge to again lift my eyes up, because if you bring it all the way into the front it will close your eyes. So this colour is more of like a warm brownish colour rather than a black, so it's a lot less harsh for like everyday wear, and I find, like I said, that at the end of the day it is more feminizing to look like you're wearing less makeup. So now I'm gonna highlight my inner corners with a really white shimmery shade, and I'm gonna put that in my lower inner corner, because the more you bring the inside of your eyes downwards, the more the outside will look lifted. And then I'm also going to put that same shade under my brow bone. That will also help lift up the brow. Now I'm going to smoke out the lower lash line with the same colours I put in my crease, focusing it on the outer corner of your eye to lift it. And I do like to smoke it out quite a bit, because that will make your eyes look bigger, and that's also quite feminizing. And now lower lash mascara. I'm using this MAC Zoom Fast Black Lash, and again focusing it more on my lashes towards the outside of my eyes to not close my eyes and make them smaller. Lower lash mascara also really helps to open up your eyes and make them look bigger. So that is the eyes complete. The last step is going to be lips. So obviously not every girl has huge lips, but big lips are feminizing, and that is the trend right now, and I'm going to make my lips look as big as possible. So I start off with a lip liner. This is MAC Stripped Down. I used to not use a lip liner. I just went straight in with my liquid lipstick. So I was like, what's the point of using a lip liner if I'm just going to cover it up with lipstick? But I tried overlining my lips with a liner, and it makes such a difference, and it just gives your lips so much more definition than just a flat one colour lipstick. So I really recommend actually using a liner before you put your lipstick on. So I just removed all the foundation that was on my lips, and now I'm going to go in with the liner. Now make sure the liner is well sharpened, because that's going to make it so much easier to create a defined new lip shape. So I kind of have my two Cupid's bow lumps. That's not a good way to say it, but what's it called? It goes down in the middle and then up and down. I like to make my lips look more rounded, so to start off, I overdraw the first mountain of my lip as much as will look okay, and then I bring that down to meet the corner of my lips and continuing to try and make them as round as possible. Then I do the same thing on the other side. Oh, I hate it when it breaks. I feel like I'm wasting so much product. Have I been hiding my lips this whole time? So yeah, try and get those as even as possible. I literally take so long to do my lips, and whenever I do my lips like this, everyone asks me if I've had them done again. So once I've overdrawn like my real lip shape on the top lip, that's when I start trying to change the lip shape. So I'll just go into the middle where it goes down and round it out and bring it up. So that's as round pretty much as I can get them. Then I move on to the lower lip. So I just go literally in the crease that's under my lip and overdraw it there. So then, still under where my real lip is, I keep going up and bring it to the corner of where my real lip ends. Still trying to make it as round as possible. So once I'm happy with the shape of my lips, then I use a liquid lipstick, fill in everything. Hopefully I wasn't covering my mouth the whole time I was filming that. And we're going to go in with a plumping lip gloss. I also feel like it helps to blend where your fake lip ends and your real lip is. So this is the Too Faced, oh, I didn't say what the other thing was. That was the Jeffree Star liquid lipstick in Mannequin, and this is the Too Faced Lip Injection Lip Gloss. So this is the makeup all complete. I hope you like it and that this video was helpful to you in any way, that you hopefully learned something from it that can help you to look the way you want to look and feel comfortable in your skin, because I know it can be such a struggle. So I hope I've been able to help you feel better in any way through the power of makeup. Thank you so much for watching this video if you've made it this far, and I'll see you in my next one. Leave a comment of any other videos you want to see, like, subscribe, all of that. Thanks for watching. Bye! So yeah, thanks for... So yeah, this... Now this...